Hi, Cancer, my son, my lunar brothers and sisters. Welcome to your 2026 Astro-Tarot reading with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note. These are for your sun, moon, and ascendant sign. Check them out for all three so that you know which part of you this is going to unfold most likely for. Remember, I'm using the whole sign tropical Western astrology system, but your astrology is going to favor your ascendant, whereas tarot favors your sun sign. So, with that said, check them out so that you get a much more complete story of your 2026 and how it's going to unfold. Then we're going to delve into your life sector. So to start with, we're going to delve into your life sectors. This is going to be how the year is affecting your actions. We're going to be looking at your career, your love life. We're going to be delving into your spirituality, your finances, and then we're going to look at any warnings that you need to be aware of. Then we're going to get into for you especially, the lunation section is all important because you are the moon child of the zodiac. So we're going to look at your new moon and your full moon, and also how the eclipses are going to play out for you and your sign over the course of the year. And then we're going to get into the 12-month tarot breakdown where we're going to look at each month separately and how it's likely to unfold for you. If you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to take this deeper with astrology, tarot, numerology, or even energy work, you can book a one-to-one session with me at any time. Now, I will also say to you, make sure that this year you check out my annual, it's the flagship, it's the first one of these I've ever done, the 2026 Compass Intuitive Strategy for a New Era. 2026 is a universal 1 year, and this year, whatever unfolds, whatever we set into motion, is going to flavor and permeate the next 9-10 years of our lives. If you want to gain real momentum, real clarity, and more importantly, create a strategy for the year ahead, and move forward to gain alignment with the energy of 2026. There's a link for that in the description box below. Make sure you check it out. Spaces are limited. So Cancer, let's see what 2026 has in store for you. Hi Cancer, my lunar brothers and sisters, welcome to your 2026 life sector overview. So here we are going to be looking at the macrocosm. This is the broad brushstrokes. We're going to use the major arcana of the tarot to really understand what the bigger sort of trends and themes in all of these different areas are for your life over the course of 2026. So before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So let's have a look what 2026 has in store for you in all of these. Ooh, okay, and the cards have spoken. So your first card out is the Empress. So this year, whatever else is happening, this is a year for a glow up, all right? When it comes to everything that you are working on, everything that you're working towards, the Empress is basically saying this year, if it doesn't bring beauty, pleasure, or even a greater sense of stillness and peace, then it really isn't a part of your world. Your actions are really geared towards getting the best and the most beautiful out of everything that you can have. And it kind of suggests as well this year, everything that you are a part of, whether this is your work, whether it's your career, your relationship with your children, whatever you are doing, you are seeking to make it the best that it's ever been, to really bring it to a greater sense of peace and fairness, and not even just fairness, but a greater sense of peace and balance and also beauty when it comes to your physical self as well, right? The Empress is the ultimate glow up card, and because it has that Venusian quality, this suggests that this year you are seeking to become that much more diplomatic, but also that much more harmonious. It's like, you know what? I want my world, I want my life, I want my experience of life to be that much easier, that much more beautiful, that much pleasurable or pleasurable or beautiful. So it's kind of like this year you're saying to yourself and the universe, if it's not bringing beauty, pleasure, resources, money, etc., all of those things, then it ain't, you know, really doesn't have a space or a place in my life. Now, when we're talking about your actions, we're talking about your actions and your options. This is about, yes, about what you're doing and the way that you're doing it. Notice the Empress. So this year, Cancer, you're not rushing it, you're not forcing it, you're not making it hard or fast or difficult for yourself, you're not rushing in, you're not doing any of that stuff. Easy, slow, unfolding and process of what you're doing, right? Slow and steady is going to win this race. And also, like, this is, you know, when you see somebody working on like a crochet or a lace, like that's painstaking work to create like a beautiful thing, right? It's the same here with the Empress. She's kind of saying this year it needs to be slow and steady and pleasurable, and you have to enjoy every stitch. You can't just sort of, you know, get it done and then you can sit back and enjoy the process. You have to be a part of it. You have to be in it. Now, another way that this could also show up for you is in terms of the options that are available to you. Well, what is available to you? The Empress is what's available to you, which means that women, right, whether you're a man, you're a woman, however you identify as irrelevant, women this year are going to be your supports. They're going to be your allies. They're going to be a big feature of what you're doing, how this year is unfolding for you. It also suggests as well that you're leaning into the more graceful opportunities that are presented to you. There are opportunities to grow this year. There are opportunities to plant your seeds in fertile soil. This is a universal 1 year. This is the planting year. This is the year to sow the seeds. This is the year to really set the intentions. This is the year to gestate, right? For those of you that are looking to become parents or mothers or anything like that, this is a year for it, right? The opportunities here are for you to be fruitful, abundant, and bountiful. But the only way that you're going to be able to really create that experience for yourself, abundance is not rushed. Right? Abundance, prosperity, warmth, happiness, love, etc. These are not fast things. They are slow, steady, Venusian things that unfold, that help you feel good. All right? And that's what this whole year is really trying to do and to be for you. So in terms of your career, there you go. That's what I was picking up on. You've got the Justice card, which is, so if the Empress is Venus, Justice is Libra, right? So the fact that you've got the Justice card in the career, this year is going to be all about your contracts and commitments. This is where you're signing on those dotted lines. This is where you got to check those contracts to within an inch of your life. You've got to make sure that you read the fine print. You've also got to look at this year, because your career is going to require a lot of commitment from you. That doesn't, again, just because something requires commitment doesn't mean that you have to run yourself into the ground for it, right? And this is one of the things that I often try to get across to my clients that are parents. Yes, you are committed to the job, but that doesn't mean you completely neglect yourself on that process, right? Or in that process. The other thing with this card as well, it does represent balance, harmony, diplomacy, fairness, equality. You couple this then with the Empress here, and it's basically saying anything in your work and your career that takes you out of, it's not about being out of your comfort zone, but anything that takes you out of and into the realm of being, you know, hard, difficult, disrespectful, angry, all of the right? If it brings any of that in, your career is out of alignment, right? It's not what you're supposed to be doing. It's off balance or off kilter. For those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, I think a lot of you will go to study this year. I think there will be a lot of you that lean into some kind of learning, some kind of maybe higher education. I think a lot of you might move in towards apprenticeships this year as well. I think for a lot of you, there may be opportunities that unfold through women in your professional sphere that really sort of take you into different realms. And some of them could be really either very professional or very legal in some way, or official is probably the better word for it. Now, when it comes to those of you that are employed by somebody else, this is a new contract, right? It's something that's a little fairer. I will say, for those of you that are employed by other people, I do see career advancement this year, but it doesn't look like a massive change. It looks like maybe your boss comes to you and says, look, we're changing your responsibilities, but you are getting a pay rise in line with the changes that we now expect you to do. So it's like there is growth, there is movement, but it's not like this massive sort of sweeping, like, oh my gosh, look at this, I'm now the CEO. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, what I will say to you is, because you're getting to take it a little easier, if you commit yourself to this now, in the long run, certainly by the time we get to the autumn or the fall, as you guys call it in the US, this is where you could really start to see the results from it. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, it's a beautiful energy. And the reason I say that this is a beautiful energy is because it means that the partners that you are aligning with, the people that you are connecting with, the people that you are signing contracts or getting into business bed with, you really find a sense of peace, a sense of happiness, a sense of stillness, a sense of ease around this. And also, what I love most about it is there's a balance of whatever you're putting in, the other person is putting in as well. So it's like on the days where maybe you don't have as much, or maybe you feel a bit flustered or whatever, your partner, your collaborator, etc. is kind of like, that's cool, no worries, I can do a little bit more today. And vice versa, right? When they come in and they say like, actually, you know what, I don't have the energy, or I feel a bit fuzzy today, or whatever, you can say, you know what, it's cool, don't worry, I've got the slack today. So it's like you're finding really great partnerships in your business this year that are truly very supportive and very aligned in what you're trying to do. I love this. And I also feel like for those of you that are business owners, I do think that there is going to be a contract that really changes some stuff for you this year. Finally, when it comes to your those of you that are retired and no longer working, I think this is where, even if you're not sort of really close to that age, I think a lot of you are going to sort your will. I think you're doing this now, so you're kind of like, it's done, right? I've done this 20 plus years in advance. I know I don't have to worry when that time comes. It's really strange. I feel like this is going to be a lot of you getting your affairs in order, but not necessarily because you have to, right? It's like because you want to. So you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to leave this to this person, I'm going to leave this to this person. It's like you're getting ahead of the curve so that it's all kind of done, and you're doing it at what I would consider is like a very leisurely pace. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. For your love and relations, you have the Sun card. If you are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, I think you are very much coming into a greater sense of alignment. If you're partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment and you have your own business, I would not be surprised to find out that you and your significant other are working together. Maybe you forge a part of your business that you are working on together as a collective, as a partnership, as well as being in a relationship. I mean, if there's ever going to be something that tests your relationship to its limits, jokes aside, I think this could be a wonderful expression of the relationship and how it flourishes and grows in some way. I really like the fact that if you're partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, whatever's happening with your work and your career, your partner is truly very happy about it. I kind of get this feeling that maybe you work a lot already, right, in your job or with your business, and like by doing whatever it is that you're implementing this year, your partner's like, wow, like you've suddenly got all this time and we get to spend more time together, and you know, we get to go for walks and we get to, you know, lie in bed for an extra hour, or do you know what I mean? Like I love this for you. I really love it. It's actually a closer alignment between you and your significant other. For if you're looking to do it as well, this could definitely be a little pitter-patter feet year for some of you. So if you don't want any more, you know what to do. If you are single and looking to mingle, in the light of day, right? This is basically a message from Tarot to say you got to get out there, because there are opportunities for you to date. There are opportunities for you to meet someone, but it's only going to be if you are out there in the light of day, mixing and mingling. This is the year you get out of the house. It's not enough for you to sit home and be like, I want to meet somebody, or, you know, I'm ready for a partner now. Well, unless you're manifesting the FedEx guy or the UPS woman, you know, you got to be out there as an active participant, and I think a lot of you will be, because it's the Sun card as well, and the Sun card is a travel card. It does make me wonder if some of you meet somebody either on your travels or in transition, right? Like, and what I mean by that is like you meet at an airport or you meet at a train stop, or do you know what I mean? That happened to me once. I actually met somebody on a train. I was laughing and joking with a friend of mine. We used to laugh at everything. And I ended up talking to somebody and we swapped numbers. It didn't work out, but it was a good date. So yeah, just throwing that out there. For your spirituality, you have the Death card. Okay, this is an interesting one. For some of you, this may be where you start working more on your ancestor practices, if you have one. If you don't have one, you could be starting one. For some of you, you could be letting a religion or a spiritual path go, right? It's the Death card after all. Now, it doesn't always have to be that, but for some of you, this could be where you say, right, you know, I grew up Catholic, I'm ready to step away from that now. Or I give that example because that was me. It could be where you kind of say, like, actually, I'm ready to do more work with my ancestors, my loved ones, the deceased, the dead, in particular dead women, a dead woman guide, a dead a loved one past who happens to be a woman could come through as a guide from here on in. I wouldn't be surprised about that. Now, with your another way that this could show up as well, because the Death card is transformation, right? It's transformation, it's transition. This does suggest that your spiritual path is going to go through some kind of upheaval or potentially some kind of transformation where it evolves into something different. I mean, honestly, I would not be surprised if a lot of you do go down the path of maybe taking some kind of training for mediumship or something along those lines this year. It just would not be a surprise to me. I would also say that for some of you, you might be working with or on the land in a way that is completely different to how you've kind of experienced or understood it before. For your finances, you have the Emperor card. This year, my dear Cancerians, you will get financially educated. This is going to be a year that sees you really working with or alongside the institutions, the banking. I feel like for some of you, you might literally take a course on investing. You might work with a mentor who teaches you. The only thing that I want to say here, and not because there's anything that scares me, but we've still got one card to go and it is money after all. So I will say the only thing that I want to add here is if you are working with somebody on a one-to-one basis when it comes to money, just make sure that they don't have access to your money. All right, so you just want to be a little bit extra careful with that. Now, if they're a financial advisor or this is somebody that you have already trusted with your money, it should be fine. It should be, no issue. For some of you, there could be an inheritance coming in this year as well. That's possible. Again, touch wood, I hope I'm wrong on that. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, this year, I want you to be really hot on your looking after your head, your face, the lymphatics of the face as well, and your jaw, right? Like all of those areas of self. Now, the other thing is how you use your energy and whether you use your energy. I'm sticking with what I said about the Empress, but this, because we're talking about health, that doesn't mean just sit on the sofa and eat chocolate all day, all right? You still got to be active. Finally, when it comes to the home and the environment, there are some shifts and some changes here. And remember, so you've got the Death card, which is 13. 1 and 3 gives you 4. You've got the 4 there, which is the Emperor. 2 4s, which is technically here, is insomnia. So you're going to have to really look after your sleep pattern this year. All right. When it comes to your warnings, you have the World card. That's an interesting card to have for warnings. My advice would be this. You've got to know when to step off the merry-go-round. You've got to know when to stop being a student. You've got to know when to pull back from a community. You've got to know when a community is no longer healthy. And, because you've got this underneath the sun card, I don't think it will be a major issue. But the fact that the world card comes up here suggests that maybe something's happening this year in your locality, in particular with or around the authorities, police officers, military, etc. And, how you navigate that, you're going to have to be just a little bit extra cautious or a little bit sort of careful. The one thing that's coming up here as well that I keep hearing is keep on top of the law changes that come in this year, because it might be that there's something that you're doing that is totally normal, totally legal, but something about it changes. And then all of a sudden you find yourself doing something that you thought was, it's like, oh, well, we updated that and you can no longer do this past this time. Or do you know what I mean? Like, so watch out for that, because it could be something really trivial. I don't see you getting into a problem with it, but I do kind of feel like you might brush up against something and maybe you get a little bit of a warning. Okay. If you don't have your 2026 compass, then you need to get yours. There's a link in the description box below. I wanted to serve people this year in a much bigger way. I wanted to really open this up. And one of the ways that this came through as I was, because I always co-create everything that I do. And the universe was saying, you need to be more of service this year. You need to give more. And I was like, right, okay, I need to think about what that means. One of the ways is opening these up and making them free. Usually they're for sale. And the other way was the compass. I wanted to create something that would serve people in 2026, this massive universal 1 year that's coming in. I think it is a big deal. And I think we're going to look back a decade from now and say, wow, you know what, 2026 changed a lot. Now, the reason this is important is because, remember, whatever happens in a 1 year, we get 9 or 10 more of it, right? It permeates that amount of time. The compass, what is it? All right, so you're going to get a 12-month tarot reading, right, from me. I'm going to send you that as a video and as a link so that you've got it online. So if you lose it or whatever, no issues. You get a printable PDF booklet / calendar with insights that are written in it based on your numbers, your chart, from yours truly. I do not outsource my astrology or numerology. I write all of it. So everything that you have in that booklet that's written up already when you get it will be directly from me. As if all of that wasn't enough, when you're signing up, you pick your own time and date. They're all in December, so that you're ready for the year ahead that comes. You get a 3-hour session where we are going to go through your reading. We're going to create a plan. We're going to create a strategy. You get to ask me any questions about the months, about the blessings that have come up, or things that you're not sure about or whatever. You're going to have that 3-hour session, and you are going to leave with a strategy, with a plan, with a compass, so that you can navigate 2026. On top of that, it's payable in 2 installments. So you'll pay half on the sign up, you'll pay the second half. Before you get to December, you're paid up. Before you even get to January, you're paid up, strategied up, and ready to attack 2026. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, too big an investment, not for me, I don't even know what I'm doing, I just need to clear this year at the moment, Raf, I've got what is effectively a cookie clearer, but it's called the Navigator, right? So this year you're going to fall into 3 camps if you're in Radiant Reality. You are going to be a Navigator, which is an energy work video and a booklet so that you can follow on with these here on YouTube. You will either be that or you will be a pioneer, one of the 30 people. And I only have 30 spaces for the compass because of the amount of work that I'm putting into it. All right, and the other group will be the sovereigns. You'll know all about that should you sign up. Now, with that said, have a fantastic year. Stay tuned while we get to the next part of your reading. Hi Cancer, my lunar brothers and sisters, welcome to your 2026 lunation section. So here we are going to explore your new moons, your full moons, the eclipses. Now remember, because you are the lunar being, you are the moon child, whether you're a sun, moon or ascendant Cancerian, whatever happens with the moon, whatever happens with our celestial mama Luna is always going to affect you that much more. So really do pay attention to this part. Now, with that said, we're going to get straight into it. So I'm going to share my screen. You should be able to see your Cancer Moon booklet right there. So we are going to start with your Cancer new moon, and this is on the 14th of July this year at 21 degrees of Cancer. So your new moon is just as interesting as your full moon this year. Full moon, actually, interestingly enough, you actually have two of them. So you've got one right at the beginning of the year, and you've got one literally right at the very end, well, not very, but very close to the end of the year, which you're going to see as we move forward. So this one is interesting because it's basically unaspected. So not basically, but actually, right? And because she's conjoined to the sun, technically, this is, even though it's not, what am I trying to say? So you can see here your new moon on the 14th. So you've got here, even though it is very close to a retrograde Mercury at the time, which you can see, it's not what we would, well, it's close enough to be considered a true conjunction because a true conjunction is only a 3-degree orb. But we've got a Mercury retrograde, and Mercury is backtracking at this time, so it's separating or pulling away from the new moon, and obviously the new moon itself is actually moving forward. Now, that being said, it is worth considering that there's not a great deal happening with this moon. It's not making any other aspects of its own that we could sort of really count, so to speak. So this is a new moon. This is your new moon of the year, and it's really seeing you delve deeply into yourself and who you are. Remember, whenever something happens in our sign, we get a modicum of control of how that is likely to unfold for us. What do you desire for yourself, for your life path? This is really the time for you to be intentional about this, because the chances are that you will be holding the reins at the time of this moon. Now, the other thing is the Mercury in your sign is retrograde at this time, and it's close to this new moon, but it means that you're rethinking yourself. Your memories are it might actually be a really good time to do some kind of memory work with or around yourself. It's probably a really good time to do some kind of mental or, even neuro-linguistic programming. This could be a really good thing to do at the time of this new moon, or to set an intention around changing how you see yourself, how you view yourself. Now, for you, in your chart, Mercury rules your 12th house, and it also rules your 3rd house. So there's definitely an element of this that could see you rewriting your history in some way, maybe seeing yourself differently in some regard. I really like this for being able to release or let go of some kind of baggage that your mind has found it hard to release in some way. The square between Mercury and Aries in your Mercury and Saturn, should I say, in Aries in your 10th house. In a sense, it might be that something about your career that really needs to be reconfigured because of your approach to it, right? Possibly because of like what is actually possible, or how you can or cannot meet those tasks. Now, on top of that, I would not be surprised if if a lot of you pull a complete 180 in some way, especially around the career, and go in a very different direction. Don't panic. I still think that you will be in charge, but I also think that you'll really need to understand what you want for yourself, and on a much deeper level than probably you've ever had to understand that before. Mercury in the sign of Cancer is really good for memory work in general, and when it's retrograde, remember that energy goes inward. So you're really starting to see or redefine how you see yourself, and more importantly, how you communicate that out into the world. Because Mercury rules the 3rd and the 12th, this could also be an old skill of some sort that comes back into your remit, that maybe you realize, like, wow, when I stopped doing this, a part of me sort of not stopped functioning the way that I would like, but it's like I definitely felt a dimming of my shine, right? Now, so for me personally, I used to sing every single day, and I used to dance every single day. And when I stopped doing that. Actually, I got into a relationship that wasn't very good for me, and I stopped doing it. Right, for 5 years, I was in that relationship, and I never really fully sort of brought it back. For me, I wonder if this is that I bring it back and I find a way to reassert myself in some regard. So very, very possible here. Now, your first full moon of the year is on January the 3rd at 13 degrees of the sign. We've got the moon applying to Jupiter, who is retrograde in that first house, and Jupiter is retrograde, so it's heading towards the moon, and the moon is also heading towards Jupiter at the same time. So they're meeting really fast at the time of this full moon. So January 3rd, it's a very beneficial new full moon. That being said, we've got Jupiter in a really nice connection. I love that we've got this Jupiter trine forming here in water signs, because then next year, or shall I say in 2026, later in the year, we're going to continue that trine energy between Saturn and Jupiter, but it's going to be happening across fire signs. So some really good energy shaping up here. Now, at the time of this full moon, you've also got Mercury on the opposite side of the heavens. Mercury's not really a part of the picture, to be fair, whereas Venus, the Sun, and Mars really are a part of the story. And so there's definitely a lot going on in the relationship sphere at this time. There's definitely a lot going on with how you are being highlighted in the world, and also your presence in some way, shape, or form is being amplified. So I love this right now. Your full moon is very interesting because obviously it's in your own sign. It's applying to conjoin Jupiter. That retrograde energy, the moon opposing Venus, it's opposing Mars in the sign of Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, so there's a very strong Mars, and Venus is studious and focused. Like I see Venus in Capricorn. She's kind of like horn-rimmed glasses. She's got a fitted shirt. She's got like she's got that pencil skirt sort of vibe. She's got her pen and a what do you call it, clipboard in her hand. She's very, studious and focused. This is very much like an us and them kind of full moon energy as well, that I might add. So if that is the case, I will say don't take it personally, since the personal planets, the Sun, Mars, and Venus, are in a really tight triple conjunction in the sign of Capricorn at the time, or you could call it a stellium, especially because Mercury's there, but not necessarily part of the story. It might feel like there's a lot of power in the hands of other people, and there may even be a feeling that there potentially is a little bit of a power struggle going on, or at least a conversation that's needing to be had that could potentially sort of, really feel like, okay, we're going to have to find a way to do this balanced and equal, but it may not feel that way. Jupiter is in your sign, so it's protecting you in a sense. Even if he is weaker in retrograde, your ruler is in a sextile to the south node, it's trine to the north node, so it's fortified in a sense, but there's definitely an element of this that has a somewhat fated feel, not like a full-on eclipse, but there's definitely a thread running through this full moon where it is a full moon of consequence. Now, the nodes are still in your third and ninth houses at this time, which means that there's potentially a sharp learning curve that happens that supports the life that you desire, and maybe even the relationship that needs to be considered in order for you to really move forward in some regard. Now, what's interesting to me is that the Sun is making the exact same aspects as are Venus and Mars, which means in a lot of ways this time is asking for balance, both from you and from the people that are in your life. But equally, one thing that I will say to you is Mercury is in the sign of Capricorn at the time. I love a Mercury Capricorn, or a Capricorn Mercury, whichever way you want to say it. But it's almost like, because the moon is making the same aspects as the sun, you then get this mystic rectangle energy that's going on. And because it's happening across the earth and the water axes, or earth and water signs, there is a sense here that you are able to generate or create something. There is a chance here that you are highlighting some kind of blessing that maybe you missed previously. That's possible, but it's like through the relationships and the partnerships that you have that this shows up for you. I would also say with this, my feeling actually about the whole thing is that it's like you might find that you're having conversations with partners, collaborators, connectors, etc., but it's like you're speaking the same language, but for some reason there's still a disconnect. even though these are harmonious aspects. And so, what I want to say to you is around this full moon at the very start of the year, whatever opportunities are showing up for you, really listen to the people that you are connected to or tied to in some way, shape, or form. Your second full moon of the year is happening on December the 24th. So on Christmas Eve, whether you do or don't celebrate, I truly hope you have a wonderful time of it. On Christmas Eve, you can see here the moon is at 2 degrees. She's setting up a T square with Neptune and obviously the sun here. Sun and the moon are always opposite in the time of the full moon, but we're setting up a T square. And so what this really says is and remember, whenever we see a T-square configuration, what you are looking at is that the planet that plays the focal point is your way through the tension. Okay, so what you're wanting and what you're needing versus what your inner and outer realities are wanting from you are potentially two different things. That Neptune energy right at the top of your sky in the 10th house of your of your career, your social status, of your legacy out in the world, but also your interactions and connections with family members. With with the world at large, not just family members, because the 10th house could be the father. Authority figures was what the word that I was looking for. Because it's Neptune, you may need to look for the highest goal, the highest ideal, or the transcendent path through navigating all of this. There might be some need for some kind of selfless act, or some kind of selfless act, or potentially even some kind of it may even be that a parent requires your help or your support in some way, and you've got something else that you would like or need to be doing. It could be that you are, especially because Neptune is altruism and transcendence, but it's also confusion. So you may find that something that you wanted in your career or a direction that seems to be opening up for you, it really calls into question how you show up, what your relationships are saying, and more importantly, what your relationship to or with authority is at this moment in time. And you add to the fact then that Saturn is kind of in the mix and forming a little bit of a T square as well. It's a wide orb, we've got the moon at 2, Saturn at 8, so it's kind of like a 6-degree orb. So it's going to be a background noise, but that Saturn in the 10th as well. Obviously, off the back of this year, we've had the Saturn Neptune conjunction. Something about your career has shifted this year, will have needed to shift. And so when we get to the end of the year, it may be that there's something that you really feel, or, you kind of have to sacrifice in some way to say, okay, you know what? I will put my desire or my need to the side for this thing so that I can move forward. And because Saturn in your chart rules your 7th and 8th houses, there might be a relationship element to this, or potentially even a financial one. So it'll be an interesting full moon this year for sure. Now, in terms of the eclipses, obviously eclipses always hit you that much more powerfully because you are the moon, and the moon is always involved. Whether it's a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, you are always involved in these, right? So let's have a look. Excuse me. On the 17th of April at 28 degrees in your 8th house, we have a new moon solar eclipse. It's not particularly tight to the node. Venus does happen to be sat directly on the north node. And remember, Venus is in her sign of exaltation here. So this kind of feels for me like whatever is happening, it will be a blessing of some sort. It's in your 8th house of joint finances and resources, other people's money, your partner's money. The 8th house is also the house of loans, taxes, debts, anywhere that you are dealing with money that isn't necessarily yours or does not come through your paycheck. You're talking about the 8th house. This is the house of death. It's also the house of the taboo, sex, sensuality. It's also the 8th house is the occult house. So any and all sort of spiritual means like tarot, astrology, numerology, these are all very 8th house themes. Even if it is a partial one, it's one of the deeper spaces of the chart because it's the 8th house. So therefore, it can be a little bit more challenging as well. Now, that said, eclipses are about change and transformation anyway. So this might not necessarily be too hard on you after all, because change, transformation, and adaptation is all the realm of the eighth house. It's a place of death and debts and taxes and loans. It's also the house in which we are indebted to others, where it is, or others are indebted to us. This could be a time where you are maybe released of such things. Remember, it is a North Node eclipse as well, so that's something to consider. It means that this is really a grand, fresh beginning in some way that's bringing something new into this space. It could bring an inheritance. Remember, and with eclipses, remember they tend to unpack or unfold over around 3 to 6 months. The eighth house is a very karmic space. It rules our fears and crises and traumas as well. And its ruler, Saturn, is in Aries conjunct Neptune at the time in your career sector, or your most public facing self. And since this is a house of status, something about your status, marital, sexual, even familial, could absolutely change now. And whenever we see Saturn and Neptune come together, they tend to erode or tear something down. Aquarius is the sign of freedom. And since the eclipse is here for you with the North Node in the sign of Pisces in your ninth house, there's an even stronger flavor or need for freedom in some way, shape, or form, but it's tempered with the desire and maybe even the requirement of passion, of compassion, right? You'll need to really show up in some kind of altruistic way. It's a very similar story, actually, interestingly enough, to the full moon that you have at the end of the year. Even if that creates some kind of silent resentment, you'll feel better for fulfilling your obligations, Cancer, whatever those might be. In the square to Uranus in your 11th house, a friendship could really surprise you or maybe take on a greater sense of urgency as a result of the eclipse. It could also be that a friendship comes to a very abrupt or sudden end. Don't take it personally, and truth be told, you might not be able to, right? This could be anything from a friend moving away suddenly to them, touch wood, passing away, which I really hope is not the case. The eighth house of money and joint finances, inheritances, loans, debts, even mortgages, our eighth house could be a consideration for you now. And so I will say, consider your resources or who or what your resources are tied to. All right. All really, really important questions. Now, the second eclipse of the first eclipse season of the year is on March the 3rd. It's a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo in your third house. And it's a true eclipse, right? We've got the node really tight to the moon, or the moon really tight to the node. It's only 4-degree orb in a really nice sextile to a retrograde Jupiter who is in your sign. At the same time, we've got Mercury, the ruler of this moon, in the sign of Pisces retrograde. This is really not a great place for Mercury, I have to say. Mercury retrograde in and of itself brings communication issues. You add to that the fact that he's in the sign of Pisces. Mercury struggles with Pisces. And as the ruler of the eclipse in the third house, you may find that there is a lot of miscommunication at this time. It's also possible that you could have misunderstandings at this time. I would say wherever you're doing any form of travel around this time, I like to, whenever this is going on, especially if there's a Mercury retrograde as part of it, I always say to people, if you know you're going away during an eclipse or a Mercury retrograde, do all of the admin stuff around that holiday, that break, that travel, etc., at a time where Mercury is really strong in the sky, so that when you come to that time, you literally just have to pack your bag and go. That has served me, my clients, my friends, and even family members really, really well up until now. So Jupiter in your sign is really the gift that keeps on giving. It's expanding your connection to the world. It's helping you shine greater, bringing a greater sense of gravitas to you, your ideas, and even your idea of self as well. It's a really nice trine to sextile to the third house in the third house eclipse for you, which being so tight to the node is likely to bring an ending in a true sense. Now, third house stuff is the neighborhood, it's siblings, it's locals, it's cousins, it's your local area, your local shop. Third house, sometimes even more than fourth house eclipses can very often bring a change to the living situation, i.e., you change where you live. And so your local shop, your local supermarket, your neighbors, it all changes in some way. This is a space where you can communicate and connect with others in general. Mercury is its ruler. It's retrograde, but it's in a trine to a retrograde Jupiter. And Jupiter is the ruler of that Mercury at the moment because Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter. So there's kind of a nice connection there that softens some of the potential confusion that could unfold at this time. Since it's also in the ninth house, there could be some discussion around, or even potentially a repealing of your personal beliefs. It could be that some kind of travel that you do away from home to a place that you've probably already visited before, or maybe for, people from a different background or even cultural belief system really helps you change your mind or your perspective in some way. Conversations that take part at this moment in time are likely to be deeply consequential and may even create a wave of change that potentially triggers some kind of event that brings closures or even endings in some way. All in all, I think even with the challenges of it, this one's, it's not gonna be so awful. Now, so for the second eclipse season of the year, it opens on August 12th with a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Leo, which for you is your second house of money, finances, and resources, self-esteem, self-worth, your possessions, your values. It's also your diet and how you feed yourself, what you like to eat, how you like to eat. And you've got this in and with a south node, right? So it's the south node eclipse, and obviously at this point you can see the nodes have shifted signs. So at the same time, you've got Jupiter now in your second house, you've got Mercury in your second house at the time of this eclipse. If there were ever a time you're likely to see your money start to really grow or expand, potentially quite exponentially, or at least very quickly, this would absolutely be it. This is an eclipse in the second, right? So this is really great for your money. It's trine to a retrograde Saturn in your 10th house of career. So it's like a new, maybe like an old income stream comes back into the fold. It could also be that Saturn, because Saturn rules your seventh and your eighth house. So this could be an old partnership, an old collaborator, a business partnership, a connection of some sort that comes in. It could even be an inheritance that you weren't aware that you would be getting. Remember, this is going to unfold over 3 to 6 months. So obviously, keep that in mind. The power is really in the time that it takes to bake with this eclipse, right? It really is about understanding that things are going to unfold in some way for you when it comes to your money expanding, maybe in a way that you don't really need to be so involved in. Apart from that, there's really no other major aspects of consequence that are taking place at this time. And since that Saturn energy is retrograde in the 10th house, it could be that an investment matures or it pays out in some way. It could also be that a partnership that you were once kind of a part of pays out in a way that is not expected or after some kind of hard push. Your second house at this moment in time is lit up like a Christmas tree, Cancer. So, and with Jupiter here, really expanding your money and your resources, you'll be expanding your money in one way, shape, or another. What I will say with this is, remember, when people have Jupiter in the second, they're usually like, yeah, that's it, excellent. I can sit back and it's just going to rain piles of money. Jupiter brings opportunities. It makes it easier for things to happen. It doesn't mean that you can just sit there and do nothing. You will need to work the energy, but it absolutely could work out in your favor. Now, in the background of this, you can see a really nice tight trine between Uranus, Venus in Libra, where she's very strong, her home sign, and the energy of Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. We've got a nice grand air trine in the background there that is doing some really nice things. The eclipse, Jupiter is trine to that Saturn in the 10th. So there's definitely some expansion around career and finances and earning potential as well as a result of this. Now, if you're not earning, if you're not of earning age, if you're retired, if you're a student, etc., this could quite literally be money that matures for you or money that comes to you by some other means. And then finally, the second eclipse season, or the second eclipse of the season, and the last one of the year is a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces in your ninth house. It's close to the node, but the node at this point now is already in the sign of Aquarius, which means there's an element of freedom about this. Now, a full moon lunar eclipse, this is, and obviously this final eclipse is, it really hits home for you. It forms part of a T square with Uranus in your 12th house and the Sun and Mercury in your third house, which means it's a spiritual answer. The way out of the tension, the way out of the challenges around this eclipse, the answer will be spiritual in nature. Communicate your truth, find, and it might be as well that you like the way that like sees you really being truthfully honest about your deeper feelings and maybe even some of your own insecurities or hang-ups. This could be where you're getting really honest both with yourself and others, because that Mercury and the Sun in the third house, whatever you're communicating, you're doing it from the heart. You're really speaking from the soul. And we say that because the Sun obviously represents the soul. And your attention is very much on sharing something that is really important to you. And Mercury, as the ruler of the 12th, as the ruler of the third, you're speaking up about something that for you is a very deep matter. And you've got Uranus in the 12th. So this, I mean, this could even be, I would say, you might, meet or connect with somebody who you don't really need to have a conversation with. You can just be in their energy and say how you feel. And they're kind of like, yeah, you know what? I understand that this might be going on because of it. The reason I say this is because I think Cancerians and Geminis are going to be the first people that come online with their superpowers once Uranus moves into Gemini full time. Excuse me. With Uranus ruling the eighth house for you as well, it could be that some kind of secret comes to light that absolutely blows your mind. I think this will probably be something that's shared with you versus something that is yeah, I think it will be something that's shared with you rather than a secret of yours that comes out, if that makes sense. Now, the moon is in a really tight, where are you, Luna? It's in a tight sextile to Chiron, which is in your 11th house of friendships. I do feel that you might be letting go of a friendship at this time and your own visions and goals for the future, like your higher aspirations. It's like it's going to see you start really talking about what those are from the heart instead of from a facade. Jupiter's ruler now as well is in your second house. So the feeling about this as well, it's like your personal values and possessions might be sort of really, because look, at this time, Jupiter, the ruler of the moon is in the ninth house, but Jupiter's in the second. You could be really questioning your values or your world perspective at this time. It may also see, and obviously because it's the house of your possessions as well, this could be where you're breaking with tradition in some way and finding new worth or new value in different spaces and places. I think by the time Jupiter's done with you and by the time this eclipse has unfolded, whatever is important to you will be very different. Since the node is in Aquarius and the eighth house, the question really becomes, what do you place value, or what value do you place on your knowledge, and more importantly, yourself as a teacher, an educator, and a mentor? Maybe in some way, shape, or form, you're being called to embody that, whether you want to or not. All right, so it's going to be an interesting year when it comes to your moons. Let me stop my share. Stay tuned. Now, before we get into that, I do want to tell you about the compass, the 2026 compass. This is what I am offering for 2026 because I want everybody to win. I want everybody to get something out of this year. I know that I'm only going to be able to serve 30 people at this level because of the amount of time, effort, and energy that's going to go into it. You're going to get a 12-month tarot reading, right? Where I'm going to go into it, the whole thing for you. On top of that, you're going to get my numerological and astrological insights based on your numbers, your chart, written by me for you specifically. As if that wasn't enough, you're also going to get a 3-hour session where you're going to sit with me. We're going to plan your year based on your reading, based on your numbers, based on your chart, and any questions that you have. We're going to build you a strategy for the year ahead. As if all of that wasn't enough, you also get a complimentary, completely free seat to attend this year's winter solstice. So the price is going to be $550. But as part of that, you pay the first half on sign up. A month later, in the month of November, you're going to pay the second. By the time we get to December, you're already paid up. By the time we get to January, you literally have everything that you need. You're going to have your recording, you're going to have your booklet, you're going to have your strategy to go into 2026, which is a universal 1 year, I might add, to absolutely smash the year. As I say, I know I'm going to be able to deliver for those 30 because there's only one of me. I can't do any more than that. So if you want to get yours, obviously, this is at this point when you're watching this, I don't know how many seats will already be gone. So with that said, if you want to get yours, there's a link in the description box below. You'll be seeing this all over my socials. Take care, and let's get into the next part of your reading. Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your 2026 tarot section. Let's get straight into it. So before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you, shall I say us, on our paths to our highest vibrational good. And I say us because, as many of you know, Cancer is my moon sign, and I am very proud of that fact. So for your first card out, remember your first card out, it kind of typifies the year that you're going to have. So it's worth paying attention to. Don't freak out if it's not a great card. It just means that it's something that you need to pay attention to. All right. So with that said, your January card is the Strength card. I find this interesting for a few reasons. So the first things first, this year is really going to focus on, for you, my dear Cancerians, um, big, bold moves, moves that come from the heart, meaning doing what you actually want to do versus what you're told to do, what you're obliged to do, what you know you should do, blah, 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 blah. This is about what you really want to do. This is a year that you have to have the courage and the grit and the determination to really go after what it is that actually sets your soul on fire. There's going to be a big focus on your physical health and vitality this year. There's going to be a big focus on your real material physical self. And I will also say, the month of January, as you come into this year, you're really going to be focused on what is actually worth it for you, whether that's financially, mentally, physically, spiritually, intimately, in all of these different areas of life. You're being encouraged in January, and potentially even pushed a little bit, to really dig into what feels like it's actually like worth it for you and really is calling you forward. Now, on the 26th of the month, we've got Neptune coming into the sign of Aries, up there into your 10th house. You've already had a taster of this, but now it's going in. It's going to be there for the next 14 years. So, get used to it because it's here to stay. I like Neptune because, in a sense, Neptune can amplify, right? It can act kind of like a magnifying glass. So sometimes it can distort things, but it can also bring a lot more focus to that area as well, providing you look through the guise of your spirit. So, with that said, your clarifying energy is the Judgment card. Judgment has been very active for January and February of this year, which tells me that we're starting the year with a bang. Now, you have the Judgment card, with the Strength card, which means January is a month you are being called to action. You're being called to really act from the heart, to get stuck in with what really sets your heart and your soul alight. You're also going to see here some big moment comes full circle. Remember, this is usually like a blast from the past. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody reaches out to you from your past and it really makes you stop and think. Like, if you've ever seen the film Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow, whether you love her or loathe her is irrelevant. Um, the reason that film is such a is so basically it shows you what would happen in her life. Like, she comes home, she catches her partner cheating, but then she gets to see her life like as if like how it would have played out if she never got to see that. And like the contrast is starkly different. And the reason I mention this is because you may have a big blast from the past that shows up in January that really makes you put everything into perspective, where you say, like, wow, if I'd have gone down that route, my life could have been very, very different. Or it might show you, you know what? Now that I understand the path that I've gone down, I'm ready to make a different decision. But this is you really tapping into what works for you on a heart level, and you are not holding back in any way, shape, or form. I'm totally here for this. As we come into February, this is a packed month. There's a lot going on here. All of the Mercury retrogrades are in water signs this year, including yours. So the other two that are not happening in your sign are actually sending positive energy your way. The Mercury retrograde that happens in February starts on the 26th of Feb and goes through to the 20th of March. It's in the sign of Pisces in your ninth house. If you want to find out what that means, you know what to do, book a session. On top of that, we've got the first eclipse of the year before we've even had a chance to kind of get into the year and catch our breath. On the 17th of February, we've got a full moon, a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius, kicking off a brand new cycle of eclipses. This for you is happening in your eighth house of other people's monies, etc. If you want to find out what's happening with your lunation section, and I do advise that you watch that because you are the moon, check out your lunation section this year. I've gone all in for that as well. As if that wasn't enough, on February the 14th, so Valentine's Day, we've got Saturn moving back into the sign of Aries, joining Neptune. On the February the 20th, they will come into their actual conjunction. If you want to know how that's going to speak specifically to your sign, stay tuned for the goodies that I put out about that. And also, you can book a personal reading with me. That's just the astrology. All right. For February, you have the Star card. I love this for you because it means that you're really working with this energy, and it means that that Star card, it means that that Aquarius eclipse is really going to be doing wonders for you. The fact that you have the Star, whatever decisions you make or set into motion in February, this is a moment where you're going to step forward and you're going to say, you know what? I know that the things that are happening for me in February are taking place because I trust the universe and I'm going in these directions. There's something about this that I think there's something about a brand new level of self-trust. February, for some of you, it could be that you're launching things like podcasts. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe you're going to start a YouTube channel. Maybe you're coming back to YouTube to start really digging into it, to really working on it to gain some traction or some favor. The Ace of Wands is sexy and powerful and energetic, and coupled with the Star card, this sees you focused on something that you have intuitively put your finger on the pulse of the collective that really speaks volumes, but it's something that you're really passionate about. It's something that you really feel called to share or to move in a direction for or with. And, like I say, I mean, the Star card is technological medium. So it's your TV, radio, film, it's YouTube. The Star card is podcasts, all of that kind of stuff. And with this Ace of Wands, it's like something that you're doing, you're speaking from the heart, and the passion that comes through you, people are absolutely captivated by. Listen, use it or lose it, honey. Okay. Now, when we come into March, we have the second eclipse of the season. And that is a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. This for you is in your third house of communications, conversations. Um, it also represents your skill set. And so the fact that you're having a full moon, it is an eclipse in that sign, maybe some skill set that you have is being reignited or re-highlighted in some way. Check out how this eclipse is going to speak to you. I will say the fact that it's connecting nicely to Jupiter means that there's probably a really good opportunity in here. March could be a power player month for you, so check that out. Now, for March, you have the Judgment card again. So, this is likely to be a crossroads decision where you are going to have to make a choice that will have far-reaching ripples and or I hate the word consequences because it's so negative. Like when you hear the word consequences, you're like, oh, right? Like this could have far-reaching ripples because it's the Judgment card. Okay, you've got this with the Hanged Man. March is going to be a deeply, and when I say deeply, I mean to the depths of your soul deeply spiritual month. This is a month where a lot of what's unfolding as a result of January and February, March will very much see you being very reflective. You're really going over the past. I mean, this is happening anyway with what's happening in January. But March is that moment where it's like, right, now I can see what I would have done, who I would have been, where I would have gone. Now I can see where I want to go and gaining traction already with what I want and what I desire to do out in the world. So March is going to be that time where it's kind of like you almost like coalesce. You go into yourself and you really start to ask the question, who am I? Why am I here? Is what I'm doing right now truly fulfilling me, or is there something more that's unfolding for me that calls me in that direction? I'm going to let you in on a secret. When I took Radiant Reality full time in 2018, financially it was not a viable option. It did not look good on paper. In the back of my mind and the depths of my soul, everything was screaming at me to make that decision. And I did. And I'm glad that I did. Sometimes what we are being called to do or asked to do by the universe really does not make sense on paper. And yet we have to answer the call. There will be a big universal call here. I'm not saying, especially if you've got children and very real world concerns, we've got bills to pay, life is life. It doesn't stop being life just because we're super spiritual. Um, but, but, March is going to be a time where you are being guided to answer some of life's biggest questions, and you will have two paths that open up in front of you. Whichever one of those you choose, of course, will be completely on you. But my feeling is, in your heart of hearts, you're watching this now and you already know. I think you've already answered the question for yourself. I don't think you need anybody to tell you. I think you've already made it. And as the Oracle says to Neo, now you just got to understand why. When it comes to April, we have, sorry, that was really deep. It's just break it up a little bit because it got very serious there. When it comes to April, that's my ADHD. It's like, it's too serious, make them laugh. When it comes to April, you've got Uranus moving back into the sign of Gemini. This for you is going back into your 12th house. The 12th house and Uranus, as if you needed any help to be more psychic than you already are. This is going to take your I've already said this before and I will say it again. I think the Cancers and the Geminis are about to be, they're the ones whose gifts like telepathy, real crazy psychic, prophetic vision, all of that stuff, their powers are coming online. And I know this is going to take years to come in. I already said that it would start with this transit though, and I'm sticking to that. That and the Neptune and Saturn conjunction in Aries. I have a few theories as to why. Watch the Universal 9 video that I did last year. It will tell you. I went into a lot of detail there. With April, though, this Uranus coming into your 12th house, the 12th house of the psyche, the hidden self. And I call the 12th house in the chart, it's the space within you that the door to the other side or the other realm resides in. So the fact that you've got Uranus, the planet of spontaneous thought, the planet of literal lightning speed, lightning connection, lightning download, coming into your 12th house of your psychic senses and antenna, where you have Gemini, which means you're that much more able to communicate what you get psychically. Listen, your psychic powers are going from analog to, well, we're already in the digital age, to be fair, and Cancer's psychic abilities are already digital, so you're going quantum at this point. I'm very excited for this transit. I really am. Now, fuck off. If you can't see that, that is the High Priestess. I shit you not. Like, what are the absolute odds? I mean, you, oh, look, goosebumps, right? All over my face and everything. You cannot make this stuff up. Um, sorry, I'm having like. Look, I've said it. I think I've said everything that I need to about this one. You've got the High Priestess. Let's see what it's coupled with, the Knight of Swords. April is likely to be a month where journeys, spontaneous journeys, secret journeys, exploratory trips that you keep very much to yourself, exploratory paperwork, applying for visas, applying for jobs, applying for school, are coming up. Whatever you're doing it very much behind the scenes. On a practical level, whatever you're doing it behind the scenes. You're not sharing this yet. On a spiritual and a psychic level, you're going to see it, right? It's just going to be like just going to be so fast and so much of it. I mean, what a way to open the year up, right? Like, what a way to open the year up. As we come into May, you've got the Hermit card. So you've already had the High Priestess. So I think you're already clear on what your internal self is saying. The fact that you have the Hermit card, though, may be that May is a month where you are pulling away from the world in some way. You're seeking more of your own counsel. You've got this with the Two of Wands, potentially connecting with elders here. May, I wouldn't be surprised if you're connecting with people that are considered elders, people that are considered movers and shakers in their field. I wouldn't be surprised if you're connecting with genuine, true spiritual teachers, people that can teach you magic, people that can teach you mediumship, people that, like, whatever this is, there is a deeply spiritual element to it. Interestingly enough, the Two of Wands is also a money card as well. So it's quite possible that whatever's happening as a result of April and May, your finances are growing or enhancing. May could also bring you some form of inheritance. It could be that you're being gifted some kind of money, finances, or resources. It could also be that you're working with or alongside or interacting with people that are older and therefore have that much more disposable income. So, you know, how this unfolds for you, it's going to be really interesting, but I mean, I'm really excited for this. Now, as it comes to June, if you are a June born Cancerian, happy damn birthday to you. I truly hope you have a wonderful solar return. If you're a July born, happy birthday to you. I truly hope you have a wonderful solar return. Same rules apply. Fill the day with a little bit of everything that you want the entire year ahead to have in it for you. Now, June is a big month, right? So for this one, you've got your annual new moon. Sorry. Why is that there then? I've put that there. There we go. June, we have the second Mercury retrograde of the year. This one's happening in your sign. Mercury in Cancer is already very good for the memory. I wouldn't be surprised if you're having a lot of memories come up at this time and a lot of conversations about said things. This one starts on June the 29th and goes through to July 23rd. As if that wasn't enough, we've also got Chiron coming into the sign of Taurus, which for you represents your 11th house of friendships. So there's a lot going on in that space. And the reason I say that is because the 11th house is friendships, it's also benefactors, group associations, it's your social media presence. This could also be that the friendship groups or ties that you have, some of them might break down at the moment, or they might reveal to you where actually they serve to keep you stuck, or maybe in some regards serve to keep you down. Chiron really shows us what needs to be mended in our lives. It also shows us where we need to heal. And so this might be that you're connecting with friends, groups of people that really show you how you can do this stuff. You've got the Fool card, so new things, new places, new people, particularly new friends, new groups, new group associations, new benefactors, new revenue streams, because the 11th house is passive income. To couple this, you've got the Hierophant card. I wouldn't like, I think June, you are maybe joining a new church. And when I say church, that can be anything from a coven right through to an actual church. I think this month you are connecting to real like minds and souls. I think that you are probably going to realize that there are some friends in your midst that are no longer for you. This could be really hard. Cancerian people, I think that's something that I find interesting about Cancers and Aquarians. Cancer and like, I think for Cancer people, it's very much like, if you're part of my chosen family, you're part of my chosen family. Aquarius, most of the time, their family is their friends, right? So there's an overlap in that regard between the signs, and I get that, which is why I want to say what I'm about to say really delicately. There might be friendships that come to an end in June, and you may realize that, friendships or certain ties have just run their course. And that can be really hard. And it can also be really discombobulating as well. So be gentle with yourself in June. Even if you are surrounded by a whole bunch of new people, allow yourself the grace to say, okay, you know what, those friendships are no longer working. And I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. For when it comes to July, on July the 18th, I believe, the nodes are shifting signs. So they're moving from their current space into your second and eighth houses, respectively. So the north node's going to be moving into Aquarius, into your eighth house. The south node's going to be moving into Leo, into your second house. So that's the nodal shift. As if that wasn't enough, on July the 14th, you've got your annual full moon. So you are in the spotlight. Your annual new moon. So you want to set your intentions here. I've completely forgotten as well. January is your first full moon of the year. So your first full moon, and then you will have a second one in December. So there's two Cancer full moons this year, not one. Now, coming back to July, we have Jupiter moving into the sign of Leo. This is a once in 12-year transit where Jupiter is going to move into your second house of money, finances, and resources, your self-worth. It's going to clean up this area. It's going to enhance and expand your money. The thing about Jupiter in the second, though, if you want to just sit on the sofa eating pasta all day and expect money to rain from the sky, it doesn't work that way. Jupiter will provide you with the opportunities to expand your wealth and your resources, which I actually think is going to happen this year anyway. It clearly starts early, right? So, but you're going to have to work it. You're going to have to do something with the money that you have to expand that money. All right. You've got 12 months of this. Do not waste it. Now, for this, okay, Tara, you're showing off now. You've got the Wheel of Fortune. Well, the Wheel of Fortune literally is Jupiter. So, this is kind of very on the nose. You've got this with the Five of Pentacles. Okay, so when it comes to speculative endeavors, things like investments, things like crypto and all of that kind of stuff, I'm not saying don't do it. What I am saying is just be extra careful, all right? As they say, easy come, easy go. You want to be making sure that the moves that you're making financially, in particular in July, are you being very careful, very conscious of the money that you've got, the money that you're using, all of that kind of stuff, what you're doing with your money. Absolutely go for it to expand it, but do it consciously, right? Not just willy-nilly where you're throwing it about. Second and eighth house eclipses are not easy. They tend to shift our financial security around. If you already have that, it's on you to keep it ticking over, right? For August, you have the second eclipse season of the year. So on the 12th of August, we've got the new moon solar eclipse in your second house in the sign of Leo in your money sector. On the 28th of the month, we've got the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces, the last one in this axis. This is the last one in that ninth house for you. Sorry, I had to really think about that one then. And so yeah, like obviously once you have these eclipses, you're in a brand new sector of eclipses from here on in the second and the eighth. So keep that in mind. For August, you have the Hanged Man. Slow and steady, read the room, just see what's showing up for you. This is not a time to rush it. It's not a time to buy into illusions around finances either. You've got the Six of Cups here, very nostalgic, very reflective over money and resources, potentially here as well. Um, I would say be careful with things like get rich quick schemes, anything that sounds sort of too good to be true. Watch out for particularly people from the past that come in and they're like, yeah, I'm making all this money now and I'm doing this and all I need for you to do is put 500k in. And do you know what I mean? Just be careful. What I would also say is August provides you with the impetus that you need to rewrite your financial story from your childhood. So, this could be a really great month for some kind of energy work, maybe some kind of money mindset reset, maybe doing the work around said things. It's a really powerful time where you can get to your deep programming around money and what that means. I would just say, when it comes to resources in the month of August, be extra careful and more importantly be extra vigilant as well. In particular, if you have children, keep an eye on with them with money and keep an eye on their accounts with money as well. All right. Before I move on, I do want to tell you about the 2026 compass. So what is it? Imagine getting a 12-month tarot reading like this. Only the difference is I'm going to create a PDF booklet for you where I'm going to go into all of these astrological transits specifically for you, what they're doing with your astrology chart. I'm going to delve into your numerology. We're going to have a look at that and how it's unfolding for you. The booklet has plenty of space for your notes. Why? Because you're going to have a 3-hour session with me where we're going to sit down and we're going to plan your year meticulously so that you can really understand the best moves to make. We're going to use your year ahead tarot reading as a blueprint so we can start to map out what's good to do when and all of that good stuff. As if all of that wasn't enough, you also get a complimentary seat on the winter solstice session. So this year, 2025, the winter solstice is going ahead and there is a payment plan. So you'll pay your first installment on sign up, you pay your second installment in November. Come December, when you have your 3-hour session with me, you're already paid up. Come the new year, you have your strategy to move into 2026 an absolute boss. I only have 30 spaces for this because, as you can see, imagine how much work has gone into these. Imagine how much work is going to be going into those 30 spaces, right? So if you want to get yours, there's a link in the description box below. It would be my honor and my pleasure to serve you, my fellow Cancerians, in this way. All right. With that said, let's get back to it. September, you have the Lovers card. All right. So love, relationships, partnerships, and significant others are a focus. But with this, you have the Four of Swords. Sorry. So something about a relationship could be on hold at this time. It's not all of you, but for those of you that are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, you might be taking a break from a partner. Maybe you decide to separate at this time. You could be taking time to say, okay, you know what? I need time out from this. For those of you that are single and looking, it could be that you are maybe starting to figure out where it is that you want to go in your love life with a particular person. Again, that could be on hold. Another way that this could show up, if you are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, one of you could be spending an extended period of time away from the other or away from the home. It doesn't have to be because you're having a break from each other. This could literally be about work. It could be about your profession or your career. It could be about your studies. It could even be about an in-law's health. As we come into October, we've got the third and final Mercury retrograde of the year. This one's in the sign of Scorpio. It starts on October 24th and goes into November 3rd. No, sorry, November 14th. And as if that wasn't enough, on October 3rd, we have Venus going retrograde in the sign of Scorpio, in which for you is your fifth house, and then it's going to reverse back into Libra into your fourth house. So there's a lot going on in October as well. It's a pretty interesting month for this. You've got the Sun card. All right. So, look, whatever is unfolding with Venus, with Mercury, you are protected in some way. I mean, Mercury and Venus will be retrograding in Scorpio to start with, which means they're sending positive, harmonious energy to your sun, moon, or ascendant, whichever one you're watching for. Now, to add to that, you've got the Two of Swords. This is a solid contract or offer that comes in. So, at this point, there are good offers that you can be open to. I will also say, if there's been something over the course of this year that you feel like you need justice on, you feel like you need support with, maybe you feel like you need something just to kind of break the case, as it were, October will be that month. It's going to be gorgeous. I mean, the Sun with the Two of Swords suggests a good contract, but it also suggests that a decision that you make makes your life so much easier. So I love this for you. As we come into November, everything goes direct. You've got the Moon card. So, very reflective at this time, really looking back over what's unfolded, what's taken place. You've got this with the Four of Cups. I'm going to say this, Cancer, with all love, but snap out of it, because November, you could really be in a little bit of a funk. You could really be stuck in your feels. You could be really examining the past in some way. Maybe something comes to a close or an end or is reconfigured here. And I will say, for the relationships that are going to survive this, they will need to evolve. It won't be able to stay the same. Something about this is going to have to shift. When it comes to your um, the other thing with the Four of Cups as well, this could be something or someone from the past that surprises you. And my feeling about this whole year is it really is that sliding doors feeling, right? Like what your life could have been, where it could have gone, where it is now, and where it's going. Where it's going, I think, is going to be wonderful. But there could be some real moments of like, whoa, like that could have been, it could have been awful, or it could have been great, or it could have been whatever. Where it's going, I think, is going to be fantastic. But there's definitely this, like, you're having flashes of like, whoa, like the difference of what my life could have been. So, December, we have the second full moon in Cancer of the year. This is on the 24th of December, so Christmas Eve. Um, I mean, emotions already tend to run pretty high around Christmas, around the holidays, because it's a peak time. There's a lot going on. So if you know that people press your buttons and stuff, this is your heads up to say you want to act accordingly, or you want to plan accordingly. Um, if you want to see what that full moon's doing for you, check out your lunation section. For this, you have the Magician card. Okay, so look, you're able to really communicate a lot of what you feel. I love this because there's clarity around that full moon. You've got this with the Lovers card as well, so that's a lot of Mercurial / Geminian energy. What I find really interesting about this combination as well is, for those of you that are single, December could see you meeting somebody that is what I would call a mover and a shaker, but they're very, very different to somebody that you would usually date. I would also say to you that the way that this likely unfolds, it sees you connecting with people that could really, what's the word that I'm looking for? It sees you connecting with both people and also a partner or a potential partner who really, in some regard, absolutely ticks all the boxes and switches you on by giving you the best kind of challenge. What I will also say to you here, this is so interesting. I mean, tarots and the oracle deck are showing off at this point. What I will also say to you is, if you are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, and that commitment comes to a close, You might meet somebody very soon after, and that might create its own kind of like, oh, okay, do I go down this route? Because this seems really quick after, I've just come out of something. I think whoever this person is a lot more your speed. Just saying, for those of you that survive or whose partnerships stay strong or are not in any challenge, etc., by the time you come to December, it looks like you're in a really, excuse me, oh my gosh, it looks like you're in a really good space with being able to openly communicate where you are. And also, either you or your partner are taking some big career step forward, which is going to be its own thing that takes you into 2027. Now, your human design oracle deck message is the gate 47 and mindset. And can you see the two halves? This is like, if I don't know if you've seen that meme where there's the two guys sat on the bus and one's looking at the rocks, looking all glum, and the other one's looking out at the sunshine and is all smiley, right? This whole thing about the sliding doors, what my life could have been versus what it is now, the difference between whether what your life is now and what it's going to be being really awesome or really like is going to be how you look at it. It's going to be about your mindset. Really and truthfully, the lens through which you look at everything is going to be all of it this year. Your challenge months this year, I think March is probably going to be one of them, because even for Cancer, who is naturally very deep, naturally very reflective. I think March is going to take you, not when I say down, I don't mean like down as in, ugh. I mean, March is going to take you down to the very depths of your own soul. Like, you're going to really be contemplating something at such a deep spiritual level that maybe you've never been that deep before. I'll give you an example. I don't know if if you've ever done a meditation where you go to a level that's deeper than you've ever been before. And when you come out of it, it really takes you a minute to kind of get back to like, okay, this is the real world. Like, I'm back in the room. It's kind of like that. I think July has the potential to be a challenge month. August is definitely a challenge month. September is a challenge month, in particular around relationships. And November, right? Your power months, however, I really like the cards for January. Call me crazy. I love the cards for February. April, gorgeous. I love May. I actually really like June. I really like June, and I really love December. So it's, as life itself is, it really is a mixed bag. Come back every month, come back every 3 months, every 6 months, however it speaks to you. I love seeing you guys comment on these. It really warms my heart that people are using them in the way that they're supposed to be used. And I always say this to people: remember, just because one of these months doesn't have, smiles and rainbows, and it's not the Sun card or the Ten of Pentacles, when the heavy messages show up, now that you know this is coming, you can anticipate it and put a plan in place to deal with it. Sometimes when you put the right plan in place to deal with it, you don't even have that experience. This is the beauty of oracular or predictive arts or anything like this. You get a heads up so you can change it before the outcome unfolds. Now, with that being said, if you really want to get into that, there are 30 spaces on the compass where I can absolutely help you plan your year out so that you can sidestep any of the challenges that come up and lean into all the good stuff. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff and so much more. Have a fantastic 2026. Take care, and I'll see you soon.